Today we expose the largest internal migration of renters Britain has seen since the 1980s. Across England right now, an estimated 500,000 private renters are being forced out of homes they had built lives around, through landlord sales, through annual rent rises they cannot match, through court orders, and through quiet consensual agreements struck under financial duress. They aren't going onto the streets, most of them. They are going somewhere very specific, and the where tells you everything about what is really happening to British housing in 2026. The official numbers are already terrifying. The English Private Landlord Survey shows 31% of landlords plan to reduce their portfolios, and 16% are planning to sell every rental property they own within 2 years. Around 700 former rental homes are being put up for sale every single day. In the months leading up to the Renters' Rights Act, landlords rushed to use the old Section 21 process while it still existed. Ministry of Justice data shows first-half evictions in 2025 were projected to hit 15,637, a 12.2% jump on 2024. Generation Rent has warned that since 2019, over 100,000 households have been threatened with homelessness, and 1 million have received Section 21 notices. The English Housing Survey has separately found that around 1.2 million private rented households now report difficulty paying their rent. The trigger has been the Renters' Rights Act in force across England since May 1st, 2026. It was meant to protect tenants. It has accelerated the exit of the small private landlords who used to house most of them. And the renters caught in the transition are the ones bearing the cost of the reform supposedly designed to save them. We've spent days digging through ONS rent data, Generation Rent reports, Ministry of Justice statistics, Cushman and Wakefield forecasts, and city-by-city rental tracking to map exactly where these 500,000 forced-out renters are going. The pattern is brutal, predictable, and politically explosive. But before we get into it, if you're a renter facing a rent rise, an eviction notice, or a landlord telling you they're selling, hit that subscribe button right now. We're British Front Media, and the big landlord associations and letting platforms are not going to tell you any of this honestly. Their entire revenue model depends on the rental market staying noisy and confused. We have you. Every subscriber, every share, every comment forces the truth higher up the algorithm. So subscribe, drop a comment with your city and what's happening on your tenancy. Let's expose what's really happening. The forcing mechanism, how renters get pushed out without an eviction notice. Forget the headlines about Section 21. The vast majority of forced moves in 2026 are not legal evictions. They are economic ones. ONS data shows the average UK private rent climbed to £1,377 a month in the 12 months to March 2026. A 3.4% annual rise. Sound modest? It isn't, because that's the national average across all existing tenancies. New let rents are far higher, and the cumulative effect of years of rises has been devastating. Rents have been outpacing wage growth for virtually 2 years. When the landlord then sells the property under the Renters' Rights Act, which they can still do as long as they wait a year before reletting, the tenant has weeks to find a new place. And the new place will cost £200, £300, sometimes £500 a month more than the one they're leaving. That isn't a choice, that's a forcing. The first wave, out of London. The largest single displacement is happening in the capital. London rents now average £2,280 a month, with Kensington and Chelsea hitting £3,599 a month, figures that no median UK wage can sustainably support. As small London landlords sell up, former rental properties accounted for 30% of all new sale instructions in London in early 2026 versus just 13% across the rest of Britain. Tenants are being given a stark choice. Pay 15 to 25% more to stay in London, or leave. Most are choosing to leave. Where they're going. Destination 1. Outer London. The first stop for many forced-out central London renters is Outer London. Boroughs like Barking, Dagenham, Woolwich, Croydon and Bexley now have gross rental yields above 5%, meaning rents are still genuinely lower than the centre. But the demand surge is now visible in the numbers. London vacancy rates have collapsed to around 2% in 2026, with properties typically finding new tenants within 25 to 30 days. Outer London is filling up fast, and rents there are climbing in turn. Destination 2. The West Midlands. Birmingham, Coventry, Walsall. Birmingham has emerged as one of the single biggest beneficiaries of the renter exodus. Average Birmingham rents sit at around £1,100 a month, with student-centric areas ranging from £800 to £1,200, well over half what equivalent London tenants pay. Coventry, just 30 minutes from Birmingham, has become a particular magnet, with rents between £850 and £950 a month, and house shares from £450 to £650. HS2 connectivity, even in its scaled-back form, is feeding this migration. The result? West Midlands rents grew 1.7% in early 2026, with Birmingham itself absorbing a surge of new supply that is just barely keeping up with new arrivals from the south. Destination 3. Manchester and the North West. Manchester is now the largest single recipient of displaced renters outside of Outer London. The city's build-to-rent inventory has expanded aggressively, with regional growth markets like Manchester and Birmingham leading the country in BTR investment. But the corporate landlords filling those new blocks are charging premium rents, and the displaced renters arriving from London are willing to pay because the prices still feel cheap compared to Wandsworth or Hackney. The knock-on effect is the displacement of Manchester's own pre-existing renters further into Salford, Stockport, Bolton and Rochdale. A single London to Manchester migration ripples outward across the entire northwest. Destination 4. The northeast. Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough. This is where the data turns truly alarming. Private rents are rising fastest in the northeast, up 6.5% in the year to March 2026, the highest annual increase in any English region. Why? Because forced-out renters from the south have started arriving in numbers, and the local rental stock cannot expand fast enough to absorb them. Newcastle still has the lowest average rents in England, at around £800 a month, which makes it irresistible to a London worker who can now work remotely 2 or 3 days a week. But for the existing Newcastle, Sunderland and Middlesbrough renter on a local wage, that 6.5% rent rise hits them with no compensating salary uplift. They are being squeezed by the very migration that's saving the Londoners. Destination 5. The seaside towns. Coastal England has become another quiet recipient of displaced renters, particularly older renters and families. Margate, Hastings, Worthing, Bournemouth, Blackpool and Skegness have all seen unusual rental demand from people fleeing high-cost areas. The catch is that these towns also have weak local economies and limited rental supply. The arrival of renters paying London comparable prices is now squeezing out the locals, exactly the pattern that played out in Brighton and Margate a decade ago, but compressed into a single year. Destination 6. Parental homes. The hidden displacement. This is the displacement nobody likes to talk about. Cushman & Wakefield's 2026 residential forecast confirms that part of the cooling in UK rental demand has come from affordability pressures leading to more young adults living with parents, with the firm describing this as deferring underlying demand rather than satisfying it. Translated from analyst speak, that means tens of thousands of young people who would otherwise be renting are now back in their childhood bedrooms because no realistic alternative exists. They aren't homeless, they aren't in temporary accommodation, they aren't on a shelter dataset, but they have been displaced from the rental market just as surely as the renter served a Section 21. Destination 7. Temporary accommodation and homelessness. The bleakest destination. Ministry of Justice data confirms eviction levels running at an 8-year high in the run-up to the May 2026 reforms. Generation Rent's chief executive Ben Toomey put it bluntly. High rents push people into homelessness and trap them in temporary accommodation. They pull children into poverty and prevent people from saving for the future. Councils across England are now housing tens of thousands of families in emergency B and Bs and converted office blocks, at a direct cost to the taxpayer that is now larger than the cost would be of simply enforcing the empty homes laws already on the books. Why this is happening, and why it's about to get worse. The drivers are reinforcing. The Renters' Rights Act, which abolished Section 21 evictions and capped rent rises to once a year, has triggered an exodus of small landlords selling up rather than comply. The autumn budget added landlord tax hikes set to bite from April 2027, with rates 2% higher across all bands. EPC compliance costs. mansion tax for properties over £2 million, and tighter local licensing schemes are all pushing more landlords toward the exit. The Cushman and Wakefield analysis is clear. Increased regulation is likely to keep pushing landlords out of the market, and the build-to-rent sector that politicians hope will replace them has its own viability problems. What this means for you: 3 pieces of practical advice for any renter caught in this displacement. First, if your landlord serves a notice claiming they want to sell, document everything. Under the new Renters' Rights Act, a landlord cannot evict on selling grounds and then re-let within a year. If your former property reappears on the rental market within 12 months of your departure, you have grounds to seek a rent repayment order. Take photos of the listing. Save the URL. This is real legal leverage. Second, if you are receiving a rent rise demand, you now have a formal right to challenge it. The new Act requires 2 months' notice on any rise, only once per year, and the rise can only reflect market rates. For a £47 fee, you can refer the rise to a tribunal, though be aware the tribunal can confirm a market rate higher than your landlord's proposed figure if the market has moved against you. So research comparable lets in your area before challenging. Third, if you are seriously considering relocating, be strategic. Birmingham, Coventry, Newcastle, and Manchester all have meaningfully lower rents than the South, but local rental supply is tight, and rents are rising fastest in these very regions. Northern jobs do not pay London salaries. The maths of relocation needs to include your actual income trajectory, not just your current rent saving. The brutal truth nobody in government will admit is this: the Renters' Rights Act was sold as a protection for renters. In practice, in 2026, it has become the largest accelerant of renter displacement Britain has seen in 40 years. The legislation might benefit the next generation of renters once the dust settles and build-to-rent fills the supply gap. But for the 500,000 tenants caught mid-transition right now, the reform has been a forcing event, not a protection. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening in the UK rental market, hit that subscribe button one more time, drop a comment telling us your city and what your landlord is doing right now. And subscribe to British Front Media because we're doing this every single week. New investigation, new expose, new truth the property industry doesn't want you to hear. Until next time, read the data, question the headlines, and protect your home.